28 Posti had been a must on my Milan restaurant plan ever since I read an article in an Austrian gastronomy magazine featuring new restaurants in Milan as part of an Expo 2015 focus on the city. When I walked past 28 Posti, situated on Via Corsico in the Navigli, and saw the menu, I made a dinner reservation for a few nights later on the spot. At 28 Posti, you can choose from 4, 6, or 8 tastes or dishes within the classic framework of antipasto, primo, secondo, and dessert. I opted for 6. While I was working out my choices, the sommelier, Iris Romano, appeared and asked me if I was okay with wines from lesser-known producers. Indeed I was. She then asked me if I was fine with unusual wines too. Absolutely. I told her we could stick with unusual wines from unknown producers for the whole meal. The first of these was a Franciacorta Zero Dosage Spumante from Arcari e Danesi. It arrived just before the no fewer than 6 amuse-bouche. These were a cannolo with basil and Vendace roe, not quite focused here, alas. Smoked herring, sandwiched between a parmesan wafer and hazelnut brittle. A mock oyster made from kombu gelatin, tomato juice, and lime. Crisp barley malt pastry fried in beer, with a dollop of oyster mayonnaise a few inches away on the same board. A flawless chicory leaf with red onion, miso, and black sesame. And a macaroon with an anchovy filling. There was homemade bread and grissini too, of course, all served in a metal trough, along with smoked butter sprinkled with black chanterelle dust. I needed a second pour of the Franciacorta to help me catch my breath before the real meal got underway. My 6 tastes started with an antipasto, burnt onion with algae and fermented wild strawberries. I was sitting outside, so I had to use a lot of concentration to make sure I didn't do any drooling visible to passers-by. With the antipasto arrived the first unusual wine. From Assotom in Piemonte, it was called Egotista and made from the ancient local varietal Erba Luce, a new one for me. 3 of my tastes were primi. The first of these was tagliolini with leek confit, caper dust, and candied lemon, served with some of the leek cooking liquid. I'm going to be severe and just stick to reciting the ingredients, as the rapture I felt with each dish should be obvious. Up next were spaghetti with yellow tomatoes, lime peel, juniper, and laver, a red alga called sea lettuce in Italian. It was time for a new wine, a rosato from Monte di Grazia, a winery in the hilly hinterlands behind the Amalfi coast. This was an organic rosé made from the varietals Tintore and Moscio. And if you say you're familiar with those grapes without having lived in those hills, I won't believe you. The last primo was a bowl of room-temperature fusilli with red peppers, chicory, and, most visibly, tobiko, otherwise known as flying fish roe. The sommelier kindly poured me another glass of the rosato. This was followed by a vegetarian secondo, a heart of romaine lettuce with preserved red currants, pistachios, and brown butter. The second secondo was a perfect San Marzano tomato snuggled against a slab of pork belly in some of the reduced jus that had cooked in, and some chickpea powder. The sommelier brought me her next discovery, Di Navolo, from the De Navolo winery near Rivergaro in the Colli Piacentini in Emilia-Romagna. An orange wine made from Malvasia, Ortruga, and Barsano grapes. If you claim to have tasted this wine and you haven't dined at 28 Posti, then your car must have broken down in Rivergaro on the way to Bobbio. Before the dessert, taste number 6, came a pre-dessert, a granita made from rabarbaro zucca. A famous Milanese aperitivo, it's made from rhubarb roots, bitter orange peel, cardamom, quinine, and a secret mix of herbs known only to zucca. That's zucca, as in the name of the man who first concocted this bitter, not the vegetable pumpkin. A mini scoop of peanut cream, not to be confused with peanut butter, clung to the side of the bowl. I had had a hard time selecting the final of my 6 tastes from 2 tough dessert choices, so the sommelier made a Solomonic decision for me. She had the kitchen serve me both. Before the first one arrived, she brought out my dessert wine, a Malvasia Passito from Vigna del Volta La Stoppa, just east of the aforementioned Rivergaro in Emilia-Romagna. I know I said I would give strictly sober, objective listings of the ingredients of each dish, but I lied. Dessert number 1 was so good it brought tears to my eyes. And only in Italy are such emotional reactions to food met with instant understanding and approval. What was it? Carrot gelato with cherries, chamomile, and extra virgin olive oil. I was too moved to ask what sort of grain pedestal the gelato was resting on. Dessert number 2 was another gelato, this time made from honey and pollen, draped over a slice of ricotta blanketed in ash, with a sprinkling of botarga. It takes a lot to leave me speechless, but this dinner did it. Yet, there was still more to come. The piccola pasticceria, chunks of cantaloupe with fennel seed, 2 cantucci, 2 small slices of a cake with ricotta, raisins, and rum, another nut brittle, this time as a nest for a smoked chocolate, and last of all, the partner macaroon to the amuse-bouche one with anchovies, this one filled with capers.
Arrivederci.
That arrivederci was the chef Marco Ambrosino as he left to go home. He told me he's been the chef at Ventotto Posti for a year. I hope he's still there on my next trip to Milan, and I also hope someone there remembers my face or my name so I can still get a table. I did remember to pay when I had finished my piccola pasticceria, but I was so overwhelmed by the fabulous dinner that I forgot my pullover on the back of my chair. The last person still in the kitchen ran after me and delivered it to me by the Naviglio.